was just like, I'm not a restaurant person. I'm a theater girl, you know? So it was kind of a weird idea to me, but for some reason I met with him and we just clicked.
Hey, Baltimore. Charisse Nichols is the general manager of Bar Vasquez and daughter-niece to her father-brother boss, Tony Foreman, and that nicknameification will make slightly more sense in a few minutes. Charisse spent 14 years at Center Stage before taking her position in the Foreman-Wolf empire, and she explains how her background in theater has come in handy in her role as GM. Charisse is funny and cool and vacations with John Waters and drives her dog around in her convertible and is really good at making fun of my husband, so obviously I'm especially fond of this episode. Oh my God. How did you start there?
I worked at Center Stage for 14 years.
You were there for 14 years?
14 years. So I worked, I was Irene, the artistic director. I always used to say I was her bitch. Like, she'd give me $2,000 for the year, and she'd be like, throw some parties.
It's not a bad gig.
So we used to do that big party that happened every year. It was first time there was a line going all the way around Center Stage up to St. Paul.
Oh, my God.
Like four people deep.
I think this predates, like, our relationship.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember this.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible.
It was a lot of fun, but I only did it for 2 years, and then I did the Welcome Kwame campaign.
Yes, I remember that.
And, you know, I like Kwame. Can I just say whatever I want?
Yeah.
Because I might be a bitch.
Say whatever you want.
I liked Kwame as a person. I think I wasn't really into his artwork.
No.
And it's hard to be the promotions director, essentially, and not really like or believe in the art that you're supposed to be promoting.
Sure.
So I kind of knew that was going to be the last year for me, like doing that fun party for him and giving him a good launch into the community.
It was a great launch. That was at Goody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at Goody. We had like 1,000 people there. My childhood sweetheart, Lady Miss Kier, DJ.
Oh, my God, that's right. Oh, my gosh.
She's supposed to call me in like 20 minutes, actually, so she might end up being on this podcast, which would be very funny. Yeah, so I don't even remember. I had done 2 projects, one with Tony and one with Chef. And the one that I did with Tony was at Dean Alexander's studio. It was for the Welcome Kwame campaign. And, you know, Tony is formidable. So everybody was a little nervous about him coming in, and they were like being very thoughtful about everything. And I was just mean to him. Like, what are you wearing?
You stood out.
Can you look like you're having fun? And after that project, he called like 3 weeks later and asked me if I wanted to come work for him, and I said no.
Did you say no because you didn't want to, or because you knew how to play him?
And I was just like, I'm not a restaurant person. I'm a theater girl, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a weird idea to me, but for some reason I met with him and we just clicked. And 7 years later, I'm still there.
Well, if you're going to say yes to a restaurant gig, I mean, they do it right.
Yeah.
You know, they're so impeccable.
Yeah, I wouldn't work for any other restaurant group. They're all fine, you know, but I think I always say I worked for the best theater in town, and now I work for the best restaurant group in town.
Fancy lady.
So everybody else can suck it.
Why do you like working for them?
I mean, we joke that Tony's like my brother dad.
What? What does that mean?
He's very protective of everyone that works for his company, but his protection is about wanting you to be so smart about your decisions. Like, he wants to give you the freedom to do what you need to do, and he trusts you to take care of his guest to the best of your ability. But he also, you know, is in his protection. He's also kind of like a brother. Like, he's easy to have fun with. Like, we had my birthday party this past month at Prime Rib, and so it was Tony, his wife, and 5 of my girlfriends, and we were the loudest, most obnoxious.
Sure.
Talking about things we probably should not have been talking about out loud.
Well, I'm sure the Prime Ribs heard worse.
They loved it. They were just like, you know, is that Tony Foreman back there making all that noise? Like, no, it's all his bitches.
Does the service change, you notice, if you're dining with him?
Yeah, because people they get nervous. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, Tony Foreman's here.
Yeah.
I never really experienced that until last night I was at Orto and Spike was there, and you could tell everybody was like, there was heightened awareness of like, someone that you want to impress is here. So.
Oh, and they're so new too that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're doing great. I love Orto.
It's like becoming one of my favorite. I mean, it's kind of in my neighborhood.
Yeah, where are you now?
I'm still in Mount Vernon.
What?
Yeah.
How come I don't see you?
Because I'm always at work.
Okay. I have 2 goddamn kids, so our schedules are probably off a little bit. That's okay. I had no idea.
No, I know you're still out.
Yeah.
I hear about your escapades.
My escapades. They're a lot gentler now than when we first met. I hope. So okay, you're GM, right?
Yeah.
At Bar Vasquez.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What does a GM do?
Every damn thing.
Everything. Do you ever cook?
It's like owning a mansion.
Really? That's fabulous.
I think it's a beautiful restaurant. I mean, I'm always very proud to have people come to visit.
Did you have a hand in the aesthetics?
No, it's so crazy. I was actually on a flight coming back from Norway, and the first phone call that I received on the tarmac in New York was from Tony. He's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Fine. So tomorrow when you come in, I'm going to need you to sell everything that is Pazzo." Whenever you do Tony, like, you have to do his voice.
I feel like it's been like the SNL cast as Lorne Michaels. That's what you kind of sound like right now.
Well, he's definitely, he's Jack Donaghy, and I waver between Tracy Morgan and...
I was wondering which way you're going to go with that.
Definitely more Tracy, and then a little bit of Jenna.
Jesus.
Wild girl.
So you found out that Pazzo is out on, like when you landed?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
And then came back, and the next day I started just doing like, warehouse sale of anything that people had, like, there's a lot of nostalgia around Pazzo because it was the only place in town like it.
Oh yeah.
For so long.
It was a huge anchor over there.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I went there was the first time I met Chef Wolf, and I came in with like 20 of my gay boyfriends, and we were dancing on people's tables and being really wild. And Chef Wolf was sitting at one of the booths, and she took care of our whole check just because we were having so much fun.
Oh, that's so generous.
I'm sure if I reminded her of that, she'd probably be like, "Remember that $500
promo
I get?" I'd like that back in blood.
I feel like you've earned or paid her back by now.
Yeah.
In a way. So you sold everything, and then, I mean, were you like ground
Sold
up?
everything, and then we closed for 3 weeks. And I worked in the space with all of the designers that came in. So like Kelly Walker was in, and she had a whole like group of people. They were doing all new upholsteries, and I mean, a lot of it is just cosmetic. It's not like we built walls or did new ironwork.
No, but it looks great.
It's fresh.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. For 3 weeks I inhaled paint and sawdust.
Oh.
There would be times Tony would come in and be like, "Why don't you go step outside for a minute?" I'm like, "Why? I'm fine."
You got the crazy eye.
Hi.
It was worth it.
And then the first party, we chose the day that we were going to reopen because I had booked a private event that wanted the entire restaurant. So it was October 18th, 2016. I'll never forget that date because
you hit it.
We hit it. I mean,
that's like unheard of in the restaurant world, right? I mean, that's
3 weeks.
Well, the 3 weeks that's like, I can't even unpack that. That's insane. But you hear these restaurants where they're like opening like spring 2019, and then it's like fall 2020.
That so means you don't have any money. I think also it was just kind of funny. Like I was sitting at one of the marble tables, and I just looked up at Tony and I said, so this client wants to book this party. They don't know anything about the menu. They don't know anything about what the space looks like. October 18th, you want to do it? And he was like, "Well, I guess that's the day we're opening." And that was that. But like literally furniture was arriving like 4 hours before guests.
Was it a wedding or was it just an event?
No, it was a corporate event. But just a client that, that's the thing about Foreman Wolf. I mean, like, as a joke, Tony said he was going to open a restaurant that had an Iceland theme, and people freaked out about it.
Wasn't that like an April Fool's thing? And I thought,
April.
So we had, I think, just been to Iceland, and I had one of the best meals of my life there, and I was so amped for that experience, and then I felt like an idiot because I didn't look at the calendar. But that would have, like, he could do that.
Yeah.
He could.
He could open a restaurant called Chill, which is so dumb.
Chill. But he could, and people will just trust it.
People would trust it. So.
Yeah. Well, they've earned that over, what, 20 years of restaurants?
20 plus.
What was the first? Was it not Petite?
They both worked at Savannah.
Right. Oh, my gosh.
And then opened Charleston.
Right.
Tony opened Charleston when I call Harbor East Dubai, Dubai, Maryland, because it's like one day there was a sandstorm and the next day there was a Four Seasons. And it's kind of weird down there.
Yeah.
Because no one lives there.
More and more, I feel like. But in the beginning, it was weird. And I remember you calling it Dubai then and being like, that's exactly, because it just kind of appeared. Yeah. And it was different than everything else.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So Tony, he always tells the story that when they opened Charleston, you couldn't get a cab to drop you off or pick you up from that part of town. And of course, we all date him and say, so they didn't have Uber back then? Who hailed cabs?
Do you know why they chose to be there? I mean, because that was a gamble.
He has a third eye about things. Like there are times when, the way that we run the restaurant, it's all about intuition. And I think he hires very, very strong women, but also people who have very strong intuition. Like you can tell when a person comes in and, not necessarily, I'm not saying profile them like, oh, they're dressed this way, so they're going to want this. You can tell by the way people behave and the way they react and the way that their level of expectation. We have a system so that we can kind of have ESP about our guests. And I think that he has that about his restaurants. So, I mean, who knew that Pazzo was going to be, they were doing like 600-700 covers a night.
What? Small
Plates, like when they first opened. No one was doing that kind of volume. And no one will ever do it again because the restaurant business is just so different now. People have too many options.
Well, when you're doing this, like, triage of these people, so actually this made me think of the Baltimore Sun article that just came out that you were featured in. Someone really spit at you?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
She was
a woman?
Yeah.
In my mind, it was a man.
Like a 60-year-old professional type woman. It was New Year's Eve, and they didn't follow protocol. They didn't. New Year's Eve is the biggest dining night of the year for any restaurant that is worth its salt. So you try to make arrangements. You know that there's a prefix menu. You want your guests to know, like, all the moving parts.
Right.
So they called a sister property, made a reservation, didn't do a credit card number to hold the reservation, then called, and they were obviously drunk, but they were like, you guys are only doing a prefix? And I said, yeah, you got to let me know if you're coming.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to hold the table for you, but I do have another party that wants it. So they didn't call back. Then they showed up an hour and a half later demanding a table.
Nope.
So I made it happen somehow.
This is why I'm not in your business. I would have been like, bye, sorry.
You do a lot of the genie, like you got to do a lot of magic making with your guests, with your staff, with the kitchen. Like, you're always trying to make things okay.
Yeah.
But she was very upset about me giving her table away, and the more that she drank, the more she couldn't get over it. And so finally, she cornered me upstairs, and she's like, I'm 5'11". She was maybe like 5'3". She's like yelling at my boobs.
Lucky
she's
her.
Like, you don't, yeah. She's like, you don't know how to fucking do your job, and la la. Like, she just goes on, and there was nothing anyone was gonna say to make it okay, because she was probably on something and then drinking. And she really wanted to see the fireworks, and I said, well, I'll gladly pay for your whole table if you'd like to go see the fireworks. And she's like, no, fuck you. I don't want anything from you. And of course her friends, she's sitting with 6 other people, they're just sitting there eating because I'm sure that she behaves like this all the time. And so she said, I'm going to write the biggest Yelp review about you.
Okay.
You don't know how to take care of people. I'm a doctor. And I was like, ooh, okay. Well, you do whatever makes you feel better. I'm so sorry you're so upset. I'm trying to get you what you need, but I feel like I can't do that for you. And she said, you know what? I'm going to call Tony and tell him. And I said, actually, I'm going to call Tony and tell him how you're behaving. And it upset her so much that I said that she just could not muster up any other smart word and just spat in my face. And I mean, I could have had her arrested, That's an assault.
I mean, I'm speechless. Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice to have the, I'll call Tony in your back pocket. Now you know what to say to start it. Yeah.
The best is when they're like, I'm going to call Tony Wolf and tell him. I'm like, okay. Good luck with that.
Tony Wolf. Oh, my God. So you just keep your cool. I mean, that is not easy.
Coming from the theater where everything, you kind of react to things with emotion because that's the environment that you are working in a restaurant, you have to learn how to just turn your emotions off. And it's really hard because you're a human being. And, people always say well, you're in service to me. No, I am not in service to you. I am here to make sure you have a great time. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference.
Yeah.
And if you meet me halfway, we're going to have a great time. But if you want to make me less than you, then that's your problem. And I'm still going to make sure you have a good time. And then I'm going to jump in my Mercedes and put the top down and giggle the whole way home. How's that Ford treating you? That's how I get through the day.
Jesus.
And this.
Yeah, right. Little cheap
alcohol.
wine. Oh, man. Is that probably one of the worst things that's happened?
I've only cried once at work. I don't want to be too specific because I feel for this person, but it was a wedding. And someone in the party was not happy. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it was about me, but I went to go get the father of the bride. And as I'm walking outside to grab this person who was getting married and ran down the street in her ball gown, screaming to herself.
Oh, no.
And she's standing in the alley, which amplifies sound, and I just hear her scream, and then I have this fucking nigger in there trying to tell me what to do. And I stopped. And I said, this is a family conversation, and I pivoted back inside. I went to the office and I cried my face off, and then decided that I was going to make sure they were going to have the nicest event ever because you're not getting a discount.
No. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more speechless now. I'm sorry.
It's hard. I mean, I think, I was saying, I think that it's not even because I'm a black woman. I'm at the front door of my restaurant. I could be the owner for anyone knows. People could care less. Because when you go to most restaurants and you see a black woman up front, you tend to think that person is the host. So the way that my restaurant runs, I mean, we can seat 220, 300 people. So the most important job on a Friday or Saturday is to seat the restaurant properly, because if you don't, you crash the kitchen. Mm-hmm. If you give the wrong guest to the wrong server, you could have a table that just you can't rescue. So you have to be very thoughtful about the way that you dress the house. Mm-hmm. So then after I do that, I'll just pop by tables. And people will normally look at me like, why does the host care about how my steak was?
You need a GM tiara or something.
Mm-hmm. I just like paying. I like surprising guests. I'll say, how was your caballero? And they're like, oh, it was amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden dessert comes or, 5 sides come from the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I'd rather surprise people because I always say to myself, I don't see a lot of me in other restaurants. So I do think people are always a little surprised.
Do you know any other black woman at your level at a restaurant of that level? No.
Not here in Baltimore.
No. Mm-mm. Do you know any other women at that level?
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty in like New York, Chicago.
But
like,
you don't have like a coven here in the city where you can like tell these horrible stories and like get drunk. That sucks.
No.
Okay.
I just tell my therapist.
Yeah.
She's always like, what?
Yeah, because it's shocking.
People are, it's 2018 and people are still.
2019.
Oh, sorry. I just did my taxes.
Welcome to the future. It's just as bad as the past. Yeah, I mean, I waited tables for 7 or 8 years.
Where?
I mean, all over. Mm-hmm. I knew you then. I mean, I was at like Mick O'Shea's. I was at Sobo Cafe. I can't think of any more, even though it was forever. Where else
I never waited a table.
You never waited? No,
Nope.
I'm saying you never waited a table and you're the GM of a restaurant. That's amazing.
Because
I feel like I don't know
different.
anyone that didn't wait tables, besides my husband, because he's bushy. But he
is.
He is. Oh my God, he's
Boat
ridiculous.
shoes all year long. And he has a boat.
It's not his. But he worked for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and he would like live on an island and clean it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even that sounds ridiculous. But most people I know waited tables.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to find people that didn't. And I think it should be mandatory.
I do too.
Like service, like what is it? Military service in Israel. 2 years. You would be so much nicer. But people were horrible to me at that level. But I didn't have that like ace. Was it ace in the hole? What is that? Is that what I don't know. I've had 2 glasses of wine.
That's what the old people say.
Ace in the hole, where you can come out and be like, I'm the fucking GM, ma'am. So that must feel good.
It's definitely funny because most people will go, oh.
Mm-hmm.
But I plan all the private events there. You manage the staff. I always think of like the staff that I hire, it's more like casting for a show than hiring a staff. It's like I need a little bit of everything. Like I have one
personality-wise, or like
just
Benetton-wise, or everything. Okay.
Everything. Like I'll hire people that have never worked in the restaurant business before because you train them. Mm-hmm. Especially if they're smart and they're thoughtful, and the rest of it is a lot of it is common sense and willingness to learn. So, and I'm always learning with them. So it's not like I feel like I have all this knowledge to impart. It's more like I have some wisdom because I'm 45 now, but also, every night is a production.
Sure. Have you ever enjoyed firing someone?
No.
There was never someone that was just so awful that you were like, bye.
You actually are more nervous these days to fire people than I think anyone's ever been before because you don't know what's wrong with people. You know what I mean?
Fair point. Okay. I'll let that one go. You're right.
You just never know. Somebody having a really bad day and then you're just the icing on top.
Yeah.
I'm always
maybe
trying
a nice
to be
public firing to make sure there's witnesses. So your background pre-Center Stage, was that, it's always been theater?
So I went to school to be, I wanted to be a television producer. So theater was a large part of the English non-teaching curriculum. And I always liked theater because my mother is dramatic. Mm-hmm. It's probably where I get it from. But she always taught, as aside from in her collegiate, career, she also taught a lot in the school's theater. So I always read theater. I always loved going to plays. The first play I ever went to was the Colored Museum here in Center Stage.
Really?
Yep. I think I was 11 for that show. And it was the wildest experience to me. It's like the stage revolved and Tico Wells was on the show and was like a regular character on the Cosby Show, and it was just like such a big deal. So for me, like working there for 14 years, part of it was like the nostalgia of like that moment for me.
Yeah.
I always like to watch people react to the shows, and I got to be a large part of planning seasons with Irene. I chose The Wiz, which was scary, but at the time it was like the top grossing show we'd ever done, I think until Marley. And then I also selected Carolina Change because I had seen it.
I did see that one
in New York, and I was like, we could do it better. And we did. Because Ife Butler is just amazing. But what was the question?
Just drink your wine.
I'm cute.
The question was just, is your background theater? I mean, did you study theater? You studied television production?
Yeah. Yeah. So theater was a large part of that curriculum. And then...
but you were never, like, on stage. You were always making it happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody in school always said this, and, like, people who I'm very close to always say the same thing. They're like, you should be a producer. Because I get, like, the management of all of the parts of making the art.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. So I got a job working at Channel 47 on the Eastern Shore as a television producer. And I did the 6 a.m. news. So I was there from midnight until noon, 6 days a week.
That does not work with your schedule.
No, girl. And I was 23. I was like, what? I went to school for this shit? I'm out.
Where did you go to school?
Mic drop. University of Maryland, but I went to Eastern Shore. So I was like...
I went to University of Maryland.
You did? College Park?
Yeah. So I met Rob.
That's why you're so smart.
Mm-hmm. Go Terps. He went to Hopkins, so we don't even care about our producer Mike.
Nerd.
I know. Writing SEMs. Cool.
I don't know.
So how long were you on the Eastern Shore?
I mean, my family's from there. I'm from there. I grew up in Easton and then...
That's right. Yeah.
Lived in Salisbury with my grandparents. And then...
when I've been down there, that has not felt racially very cool to me. Like, Cambridge was...
It's a hot mess down there.
Yeah, I was nervous, and I'm a white lady. With a Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I'm just a white gay man on the inside. So I'm like, you don't even know what you're hating, so just stop.
Oh, my God, that is true.
It is, right?
Yes. But I mean, what was like growing up down there? I didn't remember you grew up down there.
It was weird for me because my parents were divorced and my dad lived in New York. Like, he was from New York, lived in New York. So they wanted me to go to school on the Eastern Shore because, you know, school in New York, unless you're going to blah, 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 preparatory, you know. So I spent my summers in New York, and my dad was a musician, and he worked for the government. So we were always doing fun things all summer long.
I wasn't expecting you to say he was a musician and he worked for the government.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would, like, go see Annie. I think I saw Annie on Broadway, like, maybe 12 times. He played trumpet, and he wrote music for a lot of movies. Like, my mom always tells me stories about him traveling. Like, he played with Bobby Blue Bland. He played with James Brown.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's how they met, because my mom was, like, she was, like, a really Christian sex pot. Like, she had hair down to her butt, but she wore, like, these short micro dresses.
Well, her hair covered everything else.
Yeah.
So.
And my dad, the story that my grandfather always told about my dad was that when he came to ask for her hand, he was wearing a wife beater, some bell-bottom jeans, some clogs, and a fur coat, a full-length fur coat, and a man bag.
I can imagine no one else making you besides that man.
My grandfather just said, please don't trip up the steps. There's no insurance money here for you. No. So, yeah, I mean, I think I get a lot of it from my dad. You know, he, like, wrote music for the movie The Cotton Club. So I was a kid, and one summer, like, we were on set, and I had no clue that's what we were doing.
Really?
Because we were, like, at a bar, you know, and he would always take me to jazz clubs because everybody thought it was, like, cute to have a kid at a jazz bar, you know. And so I'm sitting there, and he introduces me to Richard Gere, and I was like, so what? MBD.
Really?
Yeah.
He's so handsome.
He was hot back then.
Yeah. He's married to what, Calista Flockhart now? Right?
No, that's the other old white man. What's his name?
No, it's Richard Gere.
No. Who's the one that...
Harrison Ford. Oh, that's who... Okay.
Girl.
Oh, my God. I don't see color, Charisse, okay?
You know I don't either, but I do.
Oh, man. Okay, so you met Richard Gere.
Yeah, when I was like
you were little.
11, I was like, I don't know who this person is. I don't care.
But I feel like that stuff informs, I mean, you were experiencing it and it felt natural. And so there's something to that, right?
Yeah.
Like as you get older, you know, being behind the scenes on that kind of stuff is impactful.
It is. It's also, you know, sometimes when I have like interactions with guests where I'm always like, wow, you really just, your life is small. You know, some people I think are just in a mood. They come out to eat and that's what they want and they don't need a whole bunch of fuss. And those people I appreciate. Mm-hmm. And then there's some people that there's nothing you would ever be able to do to make them happy.
It's like, why leave the house then?
Yeah.
Just go have fun.
And
I mean, everyone has an off night, for sure.
Yeah.
Like sometimes.
I mean, I do.
Yeah. Sometimes
people fill out comment forms.
They do?
I mean, we want people to give us feedback. I mean, that's how you get better.
What's the nicest thing someone said and what's like the craziest?
I mean, the nicest thing is when they just keep coming back.
Or they don't fill out a comment card at all because I feel like that's like for the angry people.
This one lady told me, she was like, I read your Yelp reviews and it said that you all were snobby. And I just want to say I don't think that that's true at all. And I said, girl, you need to stop reading Yelp. That's for negative Nancy's. Mm-hmm. No one goes on Yelp and writes a 5-star review. It's for people who think they know.
Only like relatives.
Yeah.
Of like the chef, yeah.
The chef is amazing. Cousin, I mean... yeah, I mean, I take it. I always get really like caught up. Like one guy wrote last week, like our server blah 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 was excellent. The side waiters were wonderful. The hostess was okay.
But do you think?
I'm like, first of all,
who do you think they mean when they say that?
Oh, he meant me.
You're sure?
Yeah.
Because you have a host, right?
I do, but I was the only lady that was working up in the front that day.
Oh, and he said hostess. Yeah. Okay. I
was very upset when I read that.
You need that tiara. I mean, you just need...
No, I just didn't want to be okay, you know. I want to be always like what you need.
Yeah, but you also aren't the hostess, so this goes a little deeper than the dig.
Somebody should make me a T-shirt that just says GM.
GM,
and I'll wear it every day.
Yeah. You do need that.
I don't know if anyone would care.
The whole rest of the world needs to like get over it and just understand that like perhaps you're in a position of power.
And I'm just trying to make sure they have a good dinner, a good experience. I mean, that's the other thing. Like you're having dinner.
Yeah.
So when I go out, I always try to think of it like I'm just having dinner with my friends who I love. Mm-hmm. And if we have to wait an extra 20 minutes for the table, who cares? Or if, the steak needs to be sent back, it's not a big deal. Like,
well, you just like ask like a human being to another human being and say like, oh, actually, I wanted medium. If you want medium, fuck you. But but you can
don't get me started on well done.
But I mean, that's like there
Everybody's
are opportunities.
Like, Charisse, you like your meat well done, don't you? I'm like, insert all the eye rolls.
Oh my God. You should I like just to bite a cow's stomach. That's how I like my meat.
Don't worry about how I eat my meat.
Oh my God. Yeah, it just seems like, and there are bad days. You're coming over in your circa 1995 cab to the restaurant in Harbor East, and maybe you get in like a little fight with your spouse, and that's, it can offset your night, and I think we're all guilty of that. But like,
oh yeah,
I wouldn't say that the people that are there to make and serve your food are the people to take that out on.
I mean, I think that I probably, the reason why those few people stand out so much is because the majority of the people that come to my restaurant especially are like family. I mean, for me on any given night, it's nothing for me to give out like 50 hugs. Because people are just like so happy to see you or so thankful that you did something small and special for them. Or they're just like awesome people who, like we had this party. Caitlin Edmonds, if you're listening, I heart you. She booked a surprise party for her boyfriend. And, I'm working with her on email. Don't know what she looks like. Her friends start to arrive because it's a surprise. And they're like, literally, it looks like my group of friends. It's like beautiful black woman, beautiful white guy, beautiful Asian lady, beautiful Turkish guy. Like, it was one of everything.
And beautiful.
And beautiful and well-dressed, and so thankful to be there and so excited to surprise her boyfriend. And so Caitlin, I mean, I had an inkling she probably wasn't like a sister was going to come walking through the door named Caitlin, but I see this couple walking down the street, and the last thing I wanted to say was, are they a biracial couple? Because they are. But I went to their friends and I said, is he like a dapper dresser? Is he probably wearing like a khaki suit? And is she like super cute with like a lob? And they were like, yes, that's them. I said, I got you. And it was a surprise. So I kind of had to mess with them at the door to make them think I didn't have a table. And then they came in and everyone surprised them.
So cute.
But they were so adorable that I asked them to come back and have their dessert in the lounge because I wanted people to see them. And it wasn't just because they were attractive. It was because I wanted them to see them. Like, this is 2019. This is how people live their lives when they are full and have love to share. I mean, it was very touching. And then, of course, like, I got hugs from everyone in the party because we felt like we were family because we all broke bread together that night, you know?
You have a good job.
I do. It gets tiresome. I mean, Tony calls, like, 2 or 3 times a day, and his job is to make sure I'm up, you know? But there are definitely days where I'm like, I know myself, and I'm just like, I'm not in a great mood. He'll go, uh-oh, what happened? Nothing, I just hate people. Okay. Like, don't worry, I'll put on the show, 5 o'clock. I got this. But that part's tiresome, too, you know? Like, always being on.
Well, you ended up being a performer and a producer.
Still don't have a man, if anybody's listening.
What are you looking for?
Somebody who's funny. That doesn't take anything serious. Well, doesn't take themselves too seriously. And who gets along with my friends.
First indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that first dude, the one that I married, I should have known.
Didn't work, yeah.
That was not going to work out. Make sure he has a green card. That's the other thing.
Oh, okay.
Right. Does he have a green card, Charisse?
It's a high bar in Trump's America.
Is his accent real? Shade.
Save that for later. So we ask questions of everyone at the end of each podcast or toward the end. We don't have to end it now. I'm just saying we're getting there. And it's just like your favorite things in the city. So the area answers have to be within Baltimore City.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your favorite place to eat, and it can't be somewhere where you work.
Right now it's Orto.
Me too. Yeah.
But I loved it when it was Colette. I loved it when it was Bottega.
I know. It's just a good, you know, some places just have that good energy. And some places just, wherever they are, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That space is like set up. I mean, it's so good. Oh, I love Orto.
I love going to small places because I work in such a huge
I mean, it's almost like a nightclub.
estate.
It's like, it doesn't feel like a nightclub, but it's that size of a nightclub. It's
a
huge at
mansion.
Bar Vasquez. Yeah.
It literally is like every day something is wrong. It's like HVAC's not working, or the refrigerator is not working. I have $5,000 worth of beef in there. You know, it's like, God, how am I living?
You're like, my daughter is named Edie, and I just couldn't remember the name Little Edie.
Oh, yes,
You're like Little Edie in your mansion.
Yes.
Less raccoons, though.
Less raccoons. But I do sing and dance.
How could you not? All right, so
what is her song? We all move together.
Because love is divine.
I need to watch that movie tonight again.
So, like, the original and the Drew Barrymore. I think they're both, it's a good doubleheader.
I don't know. The original, the first time I saw it, I cried because I was like, these people are sick. And then the gay man in me was like, oh, this is hilarious.
This is tragic.
so many L's. These rich people are so ridiculous.
It's so good.
So good.
When we named Edie, there was a part of me that hesitated, and then I was like, let's just dive in, because to be honest, I am a bit of an Edie myself. So here we go. It's
May
fine.
she wear sweatshirt turbans and diamond pins.
That's my girl. All right. Favorite place, again, not where you work, to grab a drink.
I have a couple of places. When you have like a hard Saturday service and maybe like, everything was perfect and then one person had to be a dick, I have to go somewhere and shake it off. So I don't think about it on my one day off, which is Sunday. So I like to go to Pen and Quill because Hellman's there and he can always he's like a good shoulder to lean on.
And they had their baby.
I know. She's
so
beautiful.
Cute.
She looks just like him.
I know. She's so cute.
Some strong jeans. I love going to Clavel. No, not Clavel. W.C. Harlan. Just because it's so dark and romantical.
So dark.
No one's going to talk to me unless I look like I'm inviting. And on a Saturday, I'm not.
We went there, it was before Lou was, this is like 4 years ago. And there was this just accordion player in the corner, and he was like 90. And it felt like tragic hipster ridiculousness, but it ended up just being this like cozy, sweet night. Yeah, I love Harlan.
I love that. And then my last place is Sugar Vale.
On my block.
That's like my cheers. Everybody knows when they see me, like they just pour a bottle of bubbles, put it in front of me. No one asks how my Saturday was.
Call me the next time you go there.
I will.
I'll walk down. It's easy for me to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a date.
Now it's public. If you don't do it, no one will hold you accountable.
Sugar Vale will. Are you supposed to come in with Megan?
My son unlocked both of our locks and ran out of he's 3, and ran out of the house this weekend because he thought we were going to Sugarville. He's been there once before. He to be fair, he misunderstood that Gertrude's wasn't Sugarville. Oh. But he threw this tantrum because he's Rob's son. He didn't get to have a fancy lunch.
3-year-old runaway.
He unlocked the door and ran up the street, and I was like barefoot, screaming, running after him. Everything was fine. Please don't call CPS. But he was going, I want to go to Sugar Vale. I was like, well, this is going to be fun.
Can he come with us?
If we go at 5.
Oh, never mind.
I don't take kids.
He can hold his liquor.
No,
he can hold his liquor. He can't. I'll take him. We've taken them to Sugar Bale, excuse me, twice. But we go right at 5. Yeah. We try to sit outside, and we're gone by like 6. That's like the only fair way to do it for everyone. But I'll meet you by myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Lou doesn't get to go.
We can be adults.
Yes. Sounds good. All right. Favorite place to buy a gift?
Curiosity. Katie DeStefano. She did all the interior design at Bar Vasquez.
Really?
She is also one of my favorite people. She is so utterly delightful, and it's 100% real. And she has impeccable taste. So you can walk in there and buy a stuffed animal for a newborn and a funny card from Gillett Press, and she actually for my birthday she always gets me the Dom gummy bears.
Oh yeah,
what's that, Sugarfina?
I don't know who makes them, but I've seen those
made with Dom Perignon. Yeah. I'm like, whew. My dog likes those too.
Does he?
Ozzy's very sophisticated.
Oh my god! I tried caviar for the first time in my life recently.
Did you love it?
Well, I did, but I ate it on a potato chip with a caviar or with a champagne gummy bear.
And then with you, can't take her anywhere.
I was at this event and I was like, I'll try caviar, sure, because there's candy and chips involved, and I'm white trash, so I'm not just gonna eat caviar by itself.
All right, we're gonna meet at Sugarville. We're also gonna meet at Charleston one night.
Okay, fine, works for me.
Yeah.
All right, your favorite place in the city to be outside?
Yesterday I went to Sherwood Gardens.
Along with the rest of the city. It was Easter.
It was so funny. I must have looked like such a weirdo. Like I have this little like 2-seater convertible. I had the top down. I have my cute little dog with her head out, and I was listening to Chopin.
Ooh.
You know, driving through that neighborhood, everybody was
just
like,
living your best life.
Who's this black lady? Is that Oprah? No.
She's better.
She's making way more.
Bar Vasquez, ever heard of it?
Yeah, it was really nice though. It was like easy.
Yeah.
Just like packed a little picnic and met my friends, and everybody was in a great Easter mood. So
Well, the weather was stunning.
perfect.
It was supposed to be really shitty, and it was amazing.
It actually, my favorite place in the world to have a picnic is a park in Oslo. It's called Gustav Vigeland, and it's like 200 acres of land that was donated to Oslo. And Gustav is an artist, and so we had, you know, all these statues, and like I actually have a tattoo that's of one of the gates that's there.
Oh,
but
wow.
it was the first time I realized that, like, oh God, it's so nice to just sit outside as an adult and have a bottle of wine and look at the sky and do nothing, or be with someone that you love and just like enjoy listening to the leaves rustle, or, you know, it's good things for your soul sometimes just to be like away from the world.
It's not in Baltimore, so I'm not going to count it as an answer.
It's not,
but you can say it.
It reminds, like, when I was in the park last night, when we were at Sherwood, it reminded me of that. It's like that feeling of like everybody's on their best behavior.
Everyone looks nice because it's
everyone
Easter.
looked nice.
Yeah.
Except for me. I was like dressed in all black, per usual.
We went a couple of weeks ago to Sherwood, and it was I guess like it was a beautiful Saturday or Sunday, and all these families are out, and there's like a woman walking around playing flute.
She was there yesterday.
Oh my God.
I was like, somebody tell that bitch to stop.
I know, at some point.
Ruining my life.
Well, actually, and I should correct, I think it was a recorder, and I'm just dumb, but whatever it was, it was a lute. But we were like, our kids looked like gremlin. Like Edie had like a food packet, which it's like when they make like applesauce or something in like a little packet. It was like all over her face, like crusted. She took off her shoes. Lou took off his shoes and his shirt. Our kids are disgusting. Meanwhile, there's this like lutist walking around. A family had brought out chairs and an actual live white bunny rabbit that they like let out of a cage, and they were doing a family photo shoot. There was a family where the girls were walking around with parasols.
Were you high? You were out there. Is this real?
I looked at Rob and I was like, I wish we were drunk. It was like 9 a.m. I was like, this is too.
Probably were.
I
don't know if this was real. I mean, it didn't happen if there aren't pictures.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe I'll look through my phone later. There might be some. It was real, but it was also real creepy. So it can be a lot of things to a lot of different people. That Sherwood Gardens.
I'm with you.
Okay, favorite. Oh, okay. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, your favorite shareable John Waters story.
Oh man. Oh, this one's really good. So he knows that I love Pee Wee Herman.
Of
Like,
course you do.
Pee Wee is like, yeah, I would do it to him.
Jesus, what?
I don't think he wants any of this, but
Well, he's not alone in a movie theater, so probably not.
Hey, whatever, float your boat. So he sent me an email. I don't remember. It was like November of like 2012. I don't know. I went as his date to Pee Wee's Broadway premiere. And so I'm used to hanging out with him here in Baltimore, but like being in New York obviously is a different level of fame. So we're like, and he's normal. Like we took the train to a restaurant, had dinner, and then we went to, I forget which theater the show was, but we couldn't figure out how to get our tickets. So we were like walking around, and then someone came and got us and said, Mr. Waters, Miss Nichols, please follow us this way. And I was like, oh, okay. What's going on? And then they take my coat, and then all of a sudden we realized we were on the red carpet.
Did you look fabulous? I mean, I'm sure you did.
You can Google it.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
girl, you can Google me.
Okay.
But it
Two
was,
S's? Okay, got it.
1 C, 2 S. But we were both just like, he was like, it's fine. You're on the red carpet. Just smile. And they're like, when you're on the guest list, they already know your name. So they're like screaming like, Mr. Waters, look this way. Charisse, look this way. And I was like, what the fuck is happening to me right now? And this was when everybody had Razor cell phones. Like, we didn't have iPhones yet. So I was like, damn.
2012, I think.
Remember Razor's big? I had a red one at that time.
Mm-hmm. We kept it.
My
I still
flip
have
phone.
it. Mm-hmm. My kids play with it.
And then we go inside, and I got to like say a little video thing to Paul Rubens, and then we go inside, and that night I met, again, because I didn't have an iPhone, it will always live in memory, but Rosie O'Donnell, why am I blanking on all the famous people? Peaches and Herb, Susan Sarandon was sitting in front of us. Who's the guy that's on The Good Wife? That's a theater dude.
Is he
Alan Cumming was sitting. I got to dance with him at the after party.
Good one.
Parker Posey, like we walked arm in
I
arm
saw her
over.
in New York the last time I was there.
Yeah, she's so cute.
I asked her directions to a Russian bathhouse.
Oh, she probably was real excited. Natasha Lyonne.
Good one. This is like New York, New York.
Yeah,
like,
Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Like, Rosie got up and looked at me. She was like, I don't give a fuck about these people. Who the fuck are you? Who are you here with? And I was like,
did she give you a koosh ball? Do you remember she used to shoot the koosh balls?
Yeah, but yeah, it was like, right, her show was still going at that time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm Charisse. I'm from Baltimore. I'm just here with John.
You did not say it like that. You're like, I'm Charisse.
I mean, she's really pretty in real life.
Rosie?
Yeah, she's very pretty. And then we went in the back, and John orchestrated it, so I got to meet Pee-wee.
Paul.
So I'm like drunk, bubble high, and there were like Reba the mail lady and like all these people from the show were back there, and I turned around and it's Paul Rubens, and he was like, "So I hear you're my biggest fan." And I was like, "Yes, I'm Charisse." He was like, "I'm Paul. It's nice to meet you," and he gave me a kiss, and I was like, "I've got to go home. I need to be alone now."
Why him? What?
He's like such a part of my childhood, but I always like
That makes it a little creepier. You know that, right?
Yeah. I could probably recite for you the entire movie word for word and not be wrong.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, but you got to meet him.
I got to meet him, and it was all because of John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one. Charisse, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you for being a Baltimore citizen. And
I love Baltimore.
You do love Baltimore.
I've been here 22 years, and I'm not going anywhere.
Please don't.
Watch out, Roland Park.
Thanks to Charisse for that lovely chat. To make a reservation at Bar Vasquez or any of the Foreman Wolf restaurants, visit foremanwolf.com. For past Hey Baltimore episodes and all the cool stuff happening downtown, go to our site, godowntownbaltimore.com. Hey Baltimore is produced by Mike Evitz and made possible by Downtown Partnership. Our music is by Super City, and I'm your host, Megan Eisenach. If you want to reach out, email us at heybaltimore@dpob.org. Thanks for listening.